Do you know, the most extraordinary thing is still, when you go into a church like the Thomaskirche, and when you think that Bach is probably, with Beethoven and Mozart and Handel, the most celebrated name of any composer that we've ever had in our last 300-400 years. And every household knows his name. And yet 50% of his work consists of the church cantatas, and just a handful of those are known. So we're actually discovering 50% of the most famous composer that's ever lived. That's extraordinary. I can never get over that, really. I sometimes get the feeling when I come to Leipzig that Bach made a wrong turning, that it was a bad career move for him. Of course, if he'd gone somewhere like Hamburg or to Dresden, where he would have liked to have gone, we would have been all the richer for lots of wonderful Italian operas. We might have had 18 or 20 fantastic Italian operas, and they might have changed the whole course of Italian opera. In fact, Mozart might have written completely differently had Bach written those operas. And we shouldn't complain, for heaven's sake, because in return what we do have is this extraordinary corpus of cantatas, and the St. Matthew Passion, the St. John Passion, the Magnificat, the Christmas Oratorio, all these magnificent choral works, which in his own day were not regarded as the object of veneration. They became venerated in the course of the 19th century, but they really weren't venerated in his own day. In fact, Forkel, in his first biography of Bach, hardly really touches on the vocal pieces. Bach is celebrated as a teacher, as an organist, as a performer above all, but not really as the composer of cantatas.
Gardiner receives a tip. Only a few kilometers from Leipzig, there's a very special church, the fortified church of Pomsen. In Pomsen itself, people seem somewhat surprised at the interest shown by outsiders.
The old priest, he was very skeptical. He said, "Why do you want to see my church?" He said, "There's only my wife who plays the organ and one other member of the congregation, that's all it is." Amazing.
Inside the church, time seems to have stood still. The interior of the fortified church has obviously not been renovated for hundreds of years. You can almost reach out and touch history.
But you see, what's great about this place is that it's never been restored. Well, it doesn't look as if it has. I mean, it must have been like this, certainly in Bach's day, if not years and years and years before. Guten Tag. Wir besuchen Ihre Kirche nochmal.
Das ist schön, ja.
Das ist schön. Und was wissen wir jetzt über Bachs Besuch hier in 1727, als er seine Kantate...
Ja, Bach hat ja die Kantate für den Tod, für die Beerdigung des Herrn von Ponickau geschrieben, die 157, ich lasse dich nicht, du singst mich denn. Ob er sie selber hier aufgeführt hat, wissen wir nicht. Dass diese Orgel zu seinem Inspektionsbereich gehört hat, wissen wir, und er ist ganz sicher hier gewesen. Irgendwo, ich kann jetzt nicht sagen, wo steht diese Äußerung von ihm, dass er sich beklagt, die Orgelempore in Pomsen ist so klein, dass man wenig Instrumente aufstellen kann. Also muss er sie schon gekannt haben.
Ja.
Aber im Sterberegister von Pomsen, wo die Beerdigung von dem Ponickau sehr ausführlich beschrieben ist, steht nichts dabei, dass Bach mit hier gewesen wäre.
Ach so.
Es kann sein, dass er schon Präfekten hat sich vertreten lassen. Wiewohl ich denke, dass solche Auftragsarbeiten für ihn auch finanziell
interessant waren.
Sicher.
Natürlich.
Sicher.
Ja.
Es wäre natürlich fast eine Reliquie, wenn in dem Sterberegister stand.
Ja.
Die feierliche Musik leitete der Leipziger Thomaskantor.
Ja.
Und leider steht es eben nicht drin.
So the fortified church at Pomsen remains a beautiful little church on the fringes of time and bypassed by the festivities honouring the cantor of St. Thomas's. But the real jewel in the Pomsen village church is its organ.
Das war natürlich zu Bachs Zeiten noch nicht da. Den Handgriff hat Bach nicht gemacht. Ja, der müsste eigentlich gehen, obwohl eine Zinke fehlt.
Oh, how sweet. Ist das pretty? In welchem Jahr war dieses Orgel gebaut?
Also eingebaut,
ja.
Hier ist sie 1671, aber ein ganzes Stück älter ist sie. Es ist eine reine Renaissanceorgel, etwa vom Anfang des 16. Jahrhunderts oder Mitte 16. Jahrhunderts. Also wir wissen nicht, wo die Orgel herstammt, wir wissen auch nicht, wer sie gebaut hat.
Oh, wait a minute. What have you got here?
That's a mixture.
That's a mixture.
I mean, there seems to be an 8-foot flute.
Yes, there you are.
Here's the 4-foot flute.
The Pomsen organ is the oldest playable organ in Saxony, an opportunity the organist of the English Baroque soloists is naturally unlikely to pass up.
Bach was really the victim of a political piece of infighting. There were two parties here in Leipzig. You had the absolutist court party representing the elector who lived in Dresden, and you had then the estates city party who ruled here quasi-independently of the elector. And yet each party was dependent on each other for taxation, for the well-regulation of society, for governance, as it were. And at the point when Bach was appointed, there seems to have been some not very salubrious deal struck between the two parties, whereby the majority party, the absolutist party, had the right to choose the cantor, and whereby the estates party, the minority city party, got to write the contract, so that Bach was in an intolerable position because he was the nominee, and not even the first nominee, he was the third nominee of the court party, of the absolutist party, but his contract was written and he was then sort of hemmed in by all the sort of constraints and frustrations of working for basically an uncivilized and unsympathetic city party. He was in charge of 4 different institutions, church institutions here in the services in the city. With his first choir, he was responsible for performing the cantato, or the piece, the Kirchenstück that was done in the main service every Sunday. But his second choir had to be in the other church, whether it was, if he was performing in Nikolai, then he had to be in, the other choir had to be in the Thomas, and so on, alternating, singing motets and making sure that the service was properly illustrated with music. And then there was the Pauliner Kirche and there was the Neue Kirche, and they were the lesser, one was the University Church and the other was the Neue Kirche, where the less talented members of his choir and orchestra were performing. And the sheer organization of that must have been